Hey folks, how you doing? My name's Dave McRae. Did you guys just watch the second trailer for Star Wars The Last Jedi? It just dropped like, a couple of hours ago, as of shooting this video, that is. I have no idea when the hell you're watching this video. Maybe it's the next day and you're like, oh no, Dave, that was yesterday. I'm like, all right, fine. But anyways, yeah, so before I get into it, before I let you know my thoughts on it and where I think this new Star Wars movie is going to go, which I like to do, I like to speculate, but I like to speculate, my thoughts are educated thoughts. My thoughts are educated guesses. My thoughts are coming from a place of understanding the industry and sort of, mythology, symbolism, where things are going to go, history, and all that kind of stuff. So that's where this is coming from. They're not, blind, basically I'm not taking a dart and throwing it out at a wall and hoping it sticks. I never try to do that. So anyway, before I give my thoughts on the new trailer that dropped, I want to start here. I want to start with that first trailer that dropped at Star Wars Celebration back in April. And I want to talk about that line that got me really excited. And it got most of you, not all of you, okay, but most of you, judging by the reactions online, pretty pissed off and worried. And the line is at the very end of that trailer, right? That line that Luke says, which is, "It's time for the Jedi to end." I was really excited about that, not because I want the Jedi to end, but because it makes sense. It changes things up. It gets me to step out of my comfort zone. Now, I know a lot of people out there are speculating that that line might appear at the beginning of the movie, right? And then we sort of have like a Karate Kid, kind of thing happening, right? Where, she goes to Luke, teach me. And he's grumpy and old and he's like, no, I don't want to teach you. I'm done with that shit. But, she shows potential and he's like, oh, you kind of remind me of me when I was your age. I like the cut of your jib. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, he teaches her and she becomes a Jedi and everyone's all happy and yeah. Lame. How predictable is that? I don't want to see that. Who the hell wants to see that? I don't want to see that. I'm not saying I don't want to see her training, but I don't want it to be so cookie cutter predictable like that. She shows up, he's grumpy, she changes his mind, he has a change of heart because she has potential, and hey, bada boom, bada bing, there you go. Please do not do that. So I'm kind of hoping that he really means it. And I think he does. Because if you pay attention to the dialogue that Luke has in that original trailer, he says, breathe, just breathe. Now tell me, what do you see, right? And Rey says, light, dark, balance. And then Luke says what? He says, it's so much bigger. What I think Luke meant by that, okay? Now again, this is all speculation, but what I think he meant by that was it's so much bigger than the good and the bad, than the blue and the red, than the light and the dark. There's things he's discovered that he didn't even know. Powerful things, scary, powerful things. Things that are so powerful, they're fucking scary. And I'm not talking about just dark shit. I'm talking about light shit and dark shit. It's so much more powerful than he is. Okay, now we all know that Luke, all right, is the most powerful Jedi that ever lived. Okay, fine, right? He is. But it's so much bigger than him. It's so much more powerful than he is, okay? And in order to get a handle on it, in order to truly grasp its full potential of what it means, the Jedi have to end, because the Jedi are too focused on one thing, in one set of ways, in one area. They're too focused on that. And the Sith were too focused on one area, in one set of ways, in this compartment. There needs to be a synthesis. There needs to be a growth between the two. The Jedi have to end. The Sith, for all intents and purposes, look like they are dead. It's time for the Jedi to end. Luke, for all intents and purposes, is the last Jedi. And he knows it. He knows that he is the last Jedi. He is the last of this kind, and there will never be any more Jedi. If there is going to be true balance, true harmony, I mean real, authentic, 100% harmony in the universe, in the galaxy, the Jedi have to end. Why? Because Luke has discovered it's so much bigger than he ever expected. And he's like, oh my God, wait a minute. No wonder this isn't fucking working. I didn't even know about this. You know what I'm saying? So he's discovered this. And okay, so now let's get on to the new trailer, okay? So watching this new trailer, first of all, loved it. It's a Star Wars trailer, looks like a Star Wars movie, feels like a Star Wars movie, but feels exactly what I've said in the past, feels very much like the second act in a 3-act play, which is what we expected would happen, right? Star Wars is a 3-act system, right? There's the first act, which is the setup. There's the second act, which is the tragedy. And there's the third act, which is the resolution or the redemption. I mean, this is not rocket science. We knew this was going to happen. When there was a new trilogy announced in 2012, I knew instantly that the second part of that trilogy would be dark. That's just how it goes. This isn't rocket science, folks. Now, how they execute that and how they implement that and what happens, all the fine details, well, that's who knows. But no one's surprised that it's going dark, and it will probably end on a cliffhanger, and then you'll have some sort of, redemption in the end. Maybe, unless they decide to extend it into, 10, 11, 12, and have it kind of like one big arc over 6 films. Who knows? But anyway, so on to this trailer. I loved it. Again, it looks like a Star Wars movie, feels like a Star Wars movie. I love Snoke's voiceover in the beginning. I love how it just resonates. I had it on my TV. I have a big 75-inch TV, and I had the surround sound on, and it was just reverberating. Then I was just like, I'm like, it's like Snoke was actually there. So, I love the trailer. I mean, there wasn't really anything about the trailer that I didn't like. I mean, there's really not a lot to say about the aesthetics of the trailer. Yeah, it's great. It looks like a Star Wars movie. I'm more focused on now, whoa, wait a minute, what does this all mean here, okay? What Snoke actually says is this: when I found you, I saw raw, untamed power. I think it's safe to assume that he's probably talking to Kylo Ren. Maybe not. But I think that's sort of the illusion and impression that everybody got and that they're trying to give. And then he says, and beyond that, something truly special. But of course, when he says the word special, it cuts to Rey igniting the lightsaber. Now, I don't think that he's talking to Rey, but using cinematic language and fancy editing, that's the story they're telling through the editing process, right? They want you to believe that, yes, not only is Kylo Ren incredibly special, but there's something special about Rey as well. It's just the way it's edited. It's cinematic language. It's very well done. So there's no doubt here that Rey is hugely significant, especially when Luke says, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, I've never seen power like this before. And the last time I did was a long time ago. And basically I didn't take it seriously then. I personally think he's talking about Kylo Ren. And all shit went down with Kylo Ren, and look what happened. I didn't take it seriously before, and now he's fucking Kylo Ren. Okay, and he's the leader of the Knights of Ren and arguably one of the most powerful people in the universe. So I think he recognizes, Luke sees this same power, this same humongous power in Rey as he saw in Kylo Ren. But I don't even know if Luke has this power. I don't even know if Luke embodies this power. I think he recognizes what he's discovered, the overall bigger picture. It's so much more. I think he's recognizing that so much more within Rey and potentially within Kylo Ren as well. I think he recognizes that within both of them. Okay, that's what I think. I don't even think Luke has it. Now, Luke is the most powerful Jedi. Yes, he's a Jedi. He's the most powerful Jedi. Okay, and you could say that, Darth Vader was the most powerful Sith. Yeah, the most powerful Sith, yada, yada, yada. But they're like A and B, right? So you have A and B. I think Rey is a combination of both. I think she's A and B. I think there's something incredibly strong within her that nobody has ever seen before. Same with Kylo Ren. I think he has the A and the B as well. Okay? And I think Luke recognizes this. He sees this, and I don't even know if he wants to train her. I don't even know if he wants to go full tilt. Like, yes, he does train her maybe to a point, but then he starts to get scared. He's like, fuck, this is intense. Like, this is dangerous. Because the last time I decided to train somebody as powerful as you, I lost them to Snoke, and look what the fuck happened. And if I start to train you and I lose you too, and Snoke gets a hold of you as well, he's going to have a fucking monopoly on this power. He's going to have a monopoly on this knowledge, because Snoke knows, I guarantee you, it's so much more. Whatever that is, Snoke knows it. Snoke knows about that so much more, right? And he wants to utilize it for himself. And he sees that Rey has it as well, right? And if he can get Rey, if he can have Rey and Kylo Ren, then he has the monopoly. And Luke recognizes this. And he realizes that the future of the universe, the future of the galaxy no longer rests on his shoulders, okay? It doesn't rest with him anymore because of what he's discovered, the knowledge of what he's discovered. It's so much bigger. It's even bigger than him. And he realizes, oh my God, Rey could be, this is going to sound really cheesy, but you know what I'm saying, could be our last hope, right? That fucking word hope gets thrown around all the time. But you know what I'm saying, right? It's that he recognizes this and he's unsure. Now look, okay, so what are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about a synthesis, okay? A coming together of both sides. I think Luke is going to be very in touch with his dark side in this film because I think he had to embrace it. I think he's embraced the dark side because if you embrace the dark side, okay, you learn about the dark side. You embrace your inner dark side. You can be one step ahead of the game. You can be above your opponent. You can know what your opponent's going to do because you know all about the dark side. Like Bruce Lee always used to say this, okay? And he's absolutely right. That you don't take a punch, okay? You go with the punch, right? You go with it. If you take a kick, you go with the kick and you come back with it, right? He knew all about his opponents and their moves and what they were going to do because he worked with it. He worked with everything. And that's what I think. I'm just speculating here, but I think that's part of this knowledge is that in order to truly get above everything, you can't just focus in one area all the time. You have to learn about the dark side, learn about your opponent, embrace your inner dark side, because if you don't become somebody who's dark, but understand it, know it, embrace your inner dark side, because if you can embrace your inner dark side and you accept that you do have an inner dark side, you will be less likely to be influenced because you're ahead of it objectively, right? Rather than subjectively. So I think that's why we're seeing Luke in black and Luke looking real like this, because yes, he's in a dark place, no pun intended, but I do think there's something dark about Luke. I don't think he's turned dark, but it wouldn't surprise me if in some sort of battle, we see Luke actually kill somebody, right? Because he's not afraid to anymore, right? It doesn't mean he's a bad guy. He needs to do this. He needs to be one step ahead of his enemies. It wouldn't surprise me. He is the last of his kind. He's the last Jedi because he's only one side of the coin. You know what I'm saying? Where you have Rey come along, or Kylo before Rey, and it's like, oh my God, they are the product of both. Obviously, we still don't know who Rey's parents are, right? And maybe they're nobody significant at all. Maybe it's not Han and Leia, and it's not, she's not the granddaughter of Obi-Wan. She's just, I don't know, somebody of no significance really. Or maybe one of her parents, or both, but at least one of her parents is somebody from the dark side, somebody powerful with the dark side, and that's why maybe she has this inherent power within her that's not only good, but bad as well. That's something to keep, that's something to keep in mind too, right? That might explain why she's so powerful all of a sudden if she's not a Skywalker, but she does have lineage that Snoke is really interested in, or maybe even Snoke knows about. You know what I'm saying? So I think Snoke is trying to, it's all about intent, right? It's all about intent. I mean, you can use a gun for good or you can use a gun for bad, right? You can use the Force for good or you can use the Force for bad, right? Like, we know this, but I think there's a synthesis that needs to happen. There's a coming together that needs to happen. Now, look, I'm not familiar with the expanded universe, but I know a lot of you are, and there's what's called a gray Jedi, right? Well, I don't know if Rey is going to become a gray Jedi or if Kylo Ren is going to become a gray Jedi. And what I mean by that is I don't know if that term is necessarily going to be used. But I think that's the direction that we're kind of going, because in order to truly bring balance to the Force or truly bring balance to the universe and the galaxy, there has to be you can't be so one-sided, because it's just, it's like this all the time, right? It's like, okay, you know what? We need to come together, not literally come together and become dark, but you have to learn the darkness. You have to move with it. You have to accept it, acknowledge that this is part of you. And then, and only then will you be one step ahead of it and less likely to be influenced. And I think that's sort of where they're going here. But Luke recognizes this is really powerful, and he's scared. I think he's scared to train Rey because he recognizes the potentiality of her falling to the dark side. And I think that in doing that, Rey's lost, right? Like, Rey doesn't know who her parents are. She doesn't really have an identity. She comes from this planet where she was just a scavenger. She lacks identity, okay? And I think Kylo Ren and Snoke, they know this, right? They know this. So what they're doing is they're like, okay, well, you know what? If he's not going to fucking show you, I'll show you. Okay, I'll, you come over here and, and I'll show you. And Rey legitimately feels that in order to find her identity, in order to, complete the synthesis, to become, she really feels she's got to sort of, embed herself into this darkness. And I think she's going to be tricked. I think she's going to think she's doing the right thing. She might even think Kylo Ren is having a moment of gratitude or something like that. Who knows? But I think she's going to be tricked, or she has a plan all along that she's actually tricking them, okay, or at least she thinks she is, and she wants to sort of infiltrate sort of the dark side to learn all about it, like really go undercover, so to speak, right, and learn all about it. But what ends up happening is that it goes too far, and it's almost beyond anything she's ever imagined possible. Because again, it's not just the dark side, it's whatever that bigger is. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa. And Luke's just like, fuck, this is, I didn't even like, yeah, okay, there's Jedi, there's Sith, there's good, there's light, there's blue, there's red, there's, okay, but then there's, oh my God. It's like looking at, a city, right? And you're like, wow, look at the city, and you have control over it, right? Like you're looking like, it's like an aerial shot of New York or Toronto, where I am, or whatever the case is, right? And and you're looking at down at all the buildings and the skyscrapers, and you have a handle on this, but then you back right out and you realize, holy shit, it's an entire fucking country. It's so much bigger. How do I handle all this? I'm just used to this. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's where they're going. I think that's sort of the direction they're going. Now, at the end of the trailer, right, it's left, you're left to assume that, oh my God, she's turning bad. Well, maybe, but I think there's sort of an infiltration going on. Either she's deliberately doing this because she thinks she's tricking them, or she's really having a moment of weakness and she's like, I don't know where else to turn here. Like, what am I going to do? And they're like, whatever the case is. Again, this is all pure speculation, but from watching that trailer, that's the sort of direction I think they're going in. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe Luke will reveal himself to be actually bad, right? But he's been struggling with it or something. Who knows? I'd be totally open for that. I would be totally okay if Rey actually went full on to the dark side. I think it's going to end on a cliffhanger where we don't know, because again, if you understand the 3-act process, you understand that the second act always ends with a tragedy and a cliffhanger, like The Empire Strikes Back did. So it's kind of like, you understand, it's not, they're not cheapening out. That's just how the 3-act system works. So yes, at the end of the movie, we might be like, oh my God, she's the bad side. But I would be totally cool if she went full on, and by the end of, part 9, she's still there. Like, I would be okay with that. Like, I think that's fantastic. Pending that they go and do it 10, 11, and 12, because then we have to figure out, what happens next. And I would be okay with Luke going to the dark side as well. I would be okay if when Luke lights his lightsaber up, when he ignites his lightsaber, everybody's expecting the green one, right? I'd be okay if it was red. And it's this red lightsaber. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's gone bad, but what it means is that he sort of embraced that side of him. He's embraced the darkness to be ahead of it, so he can be one step ahead of it, right? Have that objective view of the dark side to be more in control of it. But whether he does or not, I have no idea. But yeah, whatever that bigger is, I think he recognizes that Rey has that bigger. Rey is the AB. Rey is the synthesis. Rey's not the synthesis in and of herself, but she's the one that needs to bring, she can do that. Luke can't, because Luke's too one-sided. He's a Jedi. He's the last Jedi. But Rey is the beginning of something new, a new order, right? A new incarnation of the Jedi. So maybe they won't even be called Jedis, but they're a new incarnation of a new order. Right? And they take a lot of the teachings that maybe the Jedi had, but it's new, it's bigger, it's something more, right? It's an evolution forward of what we know and love from the past. So, just to recap, love the trailer, thought it was great, love the visuals, love the sound, it looks like a Star Wars movie, it feels like a Star Wars movie. But what I think is going to happen is that there needs to be a synthesis. So a gray Jedi, if you will, for all you expanded universe nerds. I don't know too much about that. So, but essentially that is what needs to happen, and it's even bigger than Luke. And Luke realizes that he can't do it because he's not there. Yes, he's powerful. He's the most powerful Jedi ever, and that doesn't mean he can't handle his own, and that doesn't mean he hasn't begun to learn about it and maybe embraced his dark side, but he can't do it alone because he needs that bigger. He needs something more, and that something more could have been Kylo Ren. Okay, in the beginning, but then Kylo Ren somehow, we don't know how, was infiltrated by Snoke and the First Order, and Snoke stole him away and, you know, had an impression on him. And obviously Han Solo was not around to be a good dad, and there was a whole dysfunctional family component there as well. And so there's a whole dynamic of things of why Kylo began to go that way. But then there's Rey, right? And Rey is more pure and more innocent because she doesn't know her past. She doesn't know where she comes from, which is frustrating. But it seems a little more kind of like, okay, maybe I can start from scratch here without any sort of outside influence. But then he recognizes, holy fucking shit, she's got this it factor, whatever it is, even more powerful than me, potentially. Now, I know a lot of you guys, oh, no more powerful than Luke. Luke's the most powerful in the world. Yeah, well, okay, but it's so much bigger, guys. Be prepared for that. It's bigger. It's bigger than what even Luke was told. It's bigger than what even Yoda was taught. It's bigger than what even Obi-Wan was taught. Not that all that stuff is irrelevant. It's just bigger. You know what I'm saying? And Luke's discovered this. He's like, holy fuck, how do I handle this? Okay, and if I lose Rey too, now Snoke's got a monopoly on everything. I don't know about this fucking shit. So that's the direction I think they're going to go, and I like it. It keeps it moving forward. It keeps a progression of something we know and love, but the next phase, the next evolution. I don't want to see a fucking cookie cutter Karate Kid movie where, as I said, Rey shows up on the island and she's a little, you know, help me, come on, help me, I've got potential. I don't want to do it anymore. Oh, wait a minute, you do have potential. I like the cut of your jib. Come on, bitch, let's go. You know, and she's like, woo, and then, you know, like, come on, you know, no, I don't want that. I want him to be reluctant. There has to be a good reason for it, and maybe he doesn't complete her training, and maybe he only gets 25% in because he's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. This is crazy. I can't do this, and here's why. And then Rey's frustrated, and she doesn't know where she stands, and what the fuck happens? What am I going to do? I thought you were helping me. Oh my God, why can't you help me? I need to find my place in the universe and who I am. So who does she turn to? Kylo Ren. Because Kylo Ren's like, well, if he's not going to do it, I'll do it, bitch. You know, whatever the case is. I mean, I'm not saying that is what's going to happen, but I think that looks like that could be a possible scenario from this trailer. And I love it. It's great because it's an evolution of the story. It keeps the narrative moving forward. And it keeps it dark and twisted and eerie. And there's probably going to be things that I mentioned here that I didn't even see coming. Look, I could be completely wrong. I could be completely right. I could be half right, half wrong. Sort of the same thing there. I don't know. I'm just giving speculation based on what I saw and what I think is likely sort of what I saw. But I really like it. I love the trailer. I thought it was great. Anyways, folks, comment below and let me know your thoughts on the trailer. What did you think? Did you like it? Do you agree with my analysis of sort of where things might go? Because as you know, between now and when the movie comes out, we're going to start to see more promos. We're going to start to see more photos. We're going to get an official poster, I'm sure, within the next month or so, right? Which, incidentally, I actually think the teaser poster would be perfectly fine. There's so much symbolism in that poster, too, with, you know, Luke being red and Kylo being right there and Rey being the synthesis that goes up the middle of the balance of the... Anyway, when you know what to look for, it's all there. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot of stuff regarding The Last Jedi in the next few months, right? Or in the next 2 months. And there's going to be a lot of Halloween stuff coming, too, because they start principal photography. Supposed to anyway, at the end of the month. So busy next few months ahead in terms of Star Wars and Halloween. But anyway, yeah, comment below and let me know your thoughts. I need to know. It's cool, but I really liked what I saw, so I'm going to go and watch the fucking thing again. My name's Dave McRae. You can follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. McRae is MCRAE. Facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. You can follow me there. I just began the page a couple of weeks ago, so I think we're approaching 100 likes or whatever, which is really cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Also, for you Halloween fans, don't forget, On Tuesday, October the 31st, 2017, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be doing a YouTube live video of me watching the original Halloween, John Carpenter's 1978 classic. Now, again, you won't be able to see or hear it for copyright reasons, but I want you to join me in watching it. So bust out your Blu-ray, your DVD, your VHS, whatever, and watch along with me. I'll have the chat room open. I'll be talking to you guys, and you can ask me all sorts of questions about Halloween and the series and the new movie and whatever the hell you want to ask me. So yeah, don't forget that. But 9 p.m. Eastern sharp, because, you know, I'm going to start right at that time. So the movie goes from 9 to 10:30. Anyways, comment below and let me know your thoughts. What did you think of the second trailer for Star Wars: The Last Jedi? I thought it was great. I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.